Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pickleball Jones. I am Bradley. As always, I'm joined by Doc. Doc, how you doing today?
I'm kind of fired up. It's a little late here in Indiana tonight, but I'm fired up. I don't know why. I'm all wound up.
All right. Well, we're going to use that.
Okay.
Before we get started, if you are watching this, and even if you're about to leave this, do us a favor. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. If you are listening to this on a podcast, go ahead and leave a comment. Review us. Give us 5 stars. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 stars. And share this with a friend because that would really help us out, and we'd appreciate it. But Doc, what are you wearing right now, my man?
Well, I am styling from the country of Vietnam, courtesy of you, as you can see.
Really bow. Don't forget, man. That was bow.
All right. Here, I got to take off my earphones.
Okay. Yes, and for the people who are not watching, this is Doc showing us his new jacket that he has from the University of Da Nang, fresh from Vietnam. That is what he's showing us right now.
What do you think?
Looks great, man. You're looking excellent.
Did you tell the listeners what the back of the jacket?
All about it.
You tell them what the back says?
Yeah, you're rocking it with the American hat.
Well, as good as that looks, we got to. Sorry, that was just for show.
Full America.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that's our fit check for the day. But I do have to ask you, for the weekend, my man, what did you think about the fashion of MLP Pickleball?
I'm thinking they got maybe a 7th or 8th grader. So, hey, come up with a logo and see if you can't sketch it, and then we'll send it over to Shirts Express and see if we can't get something printed before the game. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you got to remember, this is new, so I'm sure we thought like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was ugly, or Magic. I think the Orlando Magic is still ugly. But when all those came out, the new teams, we probably thought they were ugly. But I really did think this was amateur hour.
It's the quality. These teams are apparently worth $10 million, and they're bringing people out and shit that we make better shirts in. And like you said, we use just random online printing agencies.
Absolutely. Looked like they went to Walmart, got a Hanes white T-shirt, and for God's sakes, 4 of the teams couldn't even come up with a name. Really?
Talk about it. You got the DC Pickleball team?
Yeah, you got the DC Pickleball team. What else you got there? Well, the Columbus.
They just changed. Last minute.
And they go with your with the
White Castle, baby.
Oh yeah, you got to be loving that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dallas Pickleball. Now they do say they're going to come up with it's in progress a team name and logo. I mean, for God's sake, DPC. Really?
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's the best they could do. They knew they were going to have the. So anyway, I thought it was amateur hour, but I do have a few favorites.
Sure.
Now, the logos sometimes look better than the shirts they were wearing, and the apparel you can get online. I don't know if it's the hot thing to do, but is different than what they were wearing. But anyway, if we're going by logos in order, I like the Utah Black Diamonds.
Okay.
Very nice. I like that. I like the Brooklyn Aces. You know, It's got the circle Brooklyn Aces.
I think Brooklyn Aces hat, my man. So get ready for that.
Well, there it fits in. And I was going to go with the Columbus Sliders just because of White Castle, and you like White Castle, but I'm really not crazy about the logo, so I'm going to demote them. I'm going to move up the Chicago Slice. Now their logo, it looks like my grandson James colored it in. It looks
he's
like
a 3-year-old.
3-year-old. Looks like he drew that. But that isn't what they wore in the match, and I did like the Chicago Slice jerseys that they actually wore. So
now available on chicagoslice.com.
There you go. So anyway, that's just a quick rundown. But
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up one team. Come on, the DC pickleball team. First of all, you
Yeah.
don't have a name, DC pickleball team, and I'm sure it's some kind of bullshit. They don't want to offend anyone, so they want to come up after the debacle with the Redskins. They don't want anything that's
Yeah.
contra.
Or DC used to be the Bullets for the basketball team.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. And I did like their logo, the Bullets logo.
Yeah, the Bullets were good, and honestly, it's fitting. DC, dangerous place, Bullets, perfect.
Yeah. I wonder how they came up with that.
I have
Bullet.
no idea. We'll get into it later.
Yeah. But anyway, did you see what the hell they were wearing?
Yeah.
AARP shirts. It looked like
They know their audience. They know their audience.
no. Hold the audience right there. But I just got my AARP renewal.
Yeah.
And I can get a free tote bag and a carrier from the back of my car on AARP. I would take
Nice.
that over the jerseys that they had that they were wearing. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Who's gonna wear that? That was ridiculous. And they were ugly besides.
Well,
So-
you mentioned it before. So my two favorites, the first one is the Columbus Sliders. I lived in Columbus. I lived on the street from the first White Castle. I do think they're calling it the wrong name. The slider is not the best item that they have on the menu. The chicken rings are number two.
Yeah.
Number one is actually the fish nibblers, which no one eats except for me. Even when I order them at White Castle, they go, "What are those?" They have to go find them and dig them out of the freezer. So they should be called the Columbus fish nibblers.
Yeah, well, you're into marketing in a way, indirectly into marketing, but they're going conservative with the sliders. Yeah, chicken rings, man. That's got a Columbus chicken rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
That just rolls off your tongue.
But I do love that they just really leaned into going all White Castle, and I don't know, I like that White Castle. Like, yeah, we're just gonna take the whole name, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna take the name, we're gonna take the logo, and we're just gonna put a pickleball paddle on it.
Yeah, except their jerseys where they just wore a blue shirt. They didn't it was just a blue shirt. Anyway, hopefully they fixed it.
They didn't do the deal, I think, until yesterday or something.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, my favorite one is the Atlanta Bouncers, and this is the best name you could have. All right, and the reason why is very simple. One, balls bounce, right? So a pickleball ball bounces. Secondly, Atlanta has the most titty bars in the entire United States, and what's in front of those bars? Bouncers. And so they got it all squared away. This first one was in Atlanta, and we'll talk more about it, but one of the pickleball players actually went to one of these so-called strip clubs and probably got bounced out of there, and that's a really good name for the Atlanta Bouncers.
And you said there's bouncers outside. Well, there's bouncing inside too. So there you go.
Fair enough. Good call. Didn't even think about that. Man,
no, you didn't think it. No, you didn't think about that. No, yeah, that's the first time. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So many different levels. What did you think about the AZ Drive just stealing the Atlanta Braves logo and putting a pickleball across it rather than a baseball?
That's what I said. They got an 8th grader and they go, here, put a pickleball. It's like they spent 2 minutes in yeah, well, I read through all these owners. I didn't really realize it. Like the Magic, Orlando team's owned by the Magic owners and so on and so forth. And they're all sports, either players or owners that own all these teams.
%.
Yeah, it's like they said, it's like they bought, like in the old days when we used to buy a box of baseball cards. Well, now it's worth millions, but so these, it's essentially, it's like they bought a baseball card, but it's
well, let's get into MLP Atlanta.
All right.
We did not watch much Challenger League. Actually, I did because I was just sitting in the forest doing nothing besides on my phone watching things. But one of the most eventful things that happened all weekend happened in the Challenger League. There was a fight, and
whoa.
Go for it.
Fight. That's a embellishment, exaggeration, a fight.
I'm going to say that
there was a push.
Yeah, nowadays,
as they said on TV.
Nowadays, there is a sport fights are not real fights. I would say back in the 80s and the early aughts, like, no, not even early 2000s, because even then I don't think this really happened. Ever since the Malice in the Palace, I will say, was the last time we had a real sports brawl that I can really think about. But this was as close as it gets in the pickleball world. And one of my favorite things that happened was after the quote unquote push occurred, one of the players said, "Get your trash ass girlfriend out of here," and I thought that was hilarious. Probably the best thing I've heard all weekend. But Doc, you grew up in the earlier years, and you've seen sports brawls all throughout the years. So talk to me about it.
Yeah, first of all, this is not a sports ball. And these guys want no part of fighting. Let's get that straight. These pickleball players, other than Tyson McGuffin, I wouldn't mess with him. Somebody calls him a fake tough guy, but I wouldn't mess with him. The guy would pound our ass into the ground. But anyway, they say, and the other guy is A.J. Kohler, hockey player. I wouldn't mess with those two. Otherwise, I think it's even money, me against the rest of the. I'd be more worried about the women's side kicking my ass than the men's side. They're all a bunch of country club, tennis country club. They don't want to fight. They're not going to fight these guys. No, they're a bunch of chickens.
This is something that they talk about a lot. Jalen Rose actually calls it the hold me back era. And nowadays, when players get into fights, they go, hold me back. And they're sitting there and they're getting ready, but they're also backpedaling the entire time as they're trying to quote unquote fight.
But so if we go over, this is amateur. This isn't even amateur hour. This is kindergarten. But as you mentioned, the Malice in the Palace, because you're hometown of Detroit, and that's still number one. I don't know if it's recency bias or whatever, but that's thought of as the biggest brawl and melee in pro sports history anyway.
Sure.
But the one I remember, too old for you, I was a freshman in college, 1972, and Minnesota played Ohio State in basketball. And Luke Whitty, a big tall center for Ohio State, and Musselman was a coach who's the father of the guy at Arkansas now. But anyway, a long story. But he was really into aggressive play and dirty play. And so anyway, Minnesota's losing with 30 seconds to go. They knocked the hell out of this center on Ohio State, knock him down. He's laying on the ground. He sticks his hand out, and the guy helps him up and then knees him in the crotch. And then the guys on Minnesota come and stomp on his head. He got 38 stitches. He was in intensive care for 13 days. Then the rest of the Minnesota players went around and beat the shit out of the rest of the Ohio State players. And our Dave Winfield, who made it into the Baseball Hall of Fame somehow, was part of that. He was throwing punches. Yeah, and still making it into. Anyway, I saw that live. I saw the Malice in the Palace live. I wasn't there, but I saw it live. And when you see this stuff live, you're like, holy shit, someone's going to. Anyway, no one even got arrested. This guy spent 13 days in intensive care.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
There were, I think, like 2 suspensions or something. This is 1970.
This is the first time I ever heard about it, to be honest with you. So
you never heard about this game?
No.
You got to look it up. And as I was doing I remember watching it, and it shook the college basketball. That Coach Fred Taylor, who was a Hall of Fame guy at Ohio State, he was never the same. This Luke Whitty was, he was done for. I mean, it just messed up the whole team. Anyway, that's the worst one I've ever seen. I know you grew up, which brings me, I don't want to, how hockey, which I know you're a Red Wings fan, or I think you are. How does hockey get away with them beating the shit out of each other and it's not assault?
It's just part of the sport. Like I don't understand it. I never will understand it, but just hockey, it is just part of the sport. And I think because it has that tradition aspect to it, it's just kind of hung in and we're all just like, "Oh yeah, this is normal that these two players just get to go and throw their gloves down and beat the crap out of each other."
That's yeah. I can't come up with a legal explanation, so I looked online. They just like at Reddit or whatever says it's
Yeah.
just you accept mutual combat when you
Okay. Fair
when you're in hockey. That's mutual combat. So I guess
there you go. Well, that was a little law portion of this podcast. That's
yeah,
cool.
a little more than you were looking for, but I had to get it off my chest.
Yeah, no, I like it. All right. Well, I guess like high level, I wanted to talk a little bit around MLP being a different sort of pickleball. And so I would say, first and foremost, the team dynamic is very fun. It's nice to see new partnerships, and you can definitely tell that there is added pressure to the players. And I think this is something that you can watch certain players really step up in the moment, and you will see other ones just kind of crumble a little bit, especially when those game points and those matches get a little bit closer. You just see some people's butts pucker up, and they kind of crap the bed. So I don't know. That'd be my first one, but I'll kick it back to you because I know you've seen some of this live.
Yeah, once again, we talked about it. It does get exciting. I think I talked about this maybe our first podcast about I like enthusiasm. I like it. I don't, but I think it brings out in some of these people the worst things in current sports. This
Okay.
taunting, this showboating, this other stuff, all about me on routine plays. You see it in football all the time. You know, a routine tackle and they're up flexing and they're down by 45 points. I
Doing a lot of
think
this.
yeah, all that. And this kind of brings that out. I don't like that aspect. I like the enthusiasm and I like the tension part.
Okay.
That it's that they get tight. I like to see that.
No, fair enough. I would say I agree. You get louder fans, you get louder
Yeah.
teammates, and because of that, there is more chirping and there's more
Yes.
just everything. And I think it's just part of the environment, right? Like if your fans are kind of getting into it and getting riled up, your teammates are getting riled up, you're going to get riled up, and because of that,
Yeah.
some things happen.
Well,
And I
that's
mean,
how it works. But you're supposed to be mature out there on the court. So,
yeah, but I think people
like,
kind of get swept
I,
up in it, and
I
like it
they
is a little bit different.
they should take it from me. You know,
Just
E- e-
clean, like easy
even
going,
kill. Yeah.
always the same.
Until my
Absolutely.
wife threw the bag over the fence and said, "You're done. Go home." That was good.
Yeah, I would say that the other thing is the scoring was the biggest thing for me. And when I'm
Yeah.
watching it, I'm sitting there and I know there are certain teams that should be way up and winning these things. But the PPA really wants close games and their new scoring system where you can only win off your serve. And basically, the other team can kind of creep back in or whatever because they still have the score on any offense or defense really does lead to close games. While I think that is good for fans and it's like good to kind of we had a lot of dream breakers, we had a lot of like games go into well past 21 points, and it's fun. But at the same time too, I'm always sitting there going, I don't know if the best team is winning this one because I don't know. This just it feels a little wonky.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I may be ahead of myself. I think it's going to be dictated by time. I think they like it because it's a more consistent, and that's why I read, and it seems like there'll be a more consistent time, even though some games go over 21.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, other games, if you play the standard way, you can go back and forth on, with scoring only on your serve. It could take forever. So I think
Yeah,
this
yeah. I
has
mean,
a little more time constraints to it.
and we saw it with ESPN when they aired it on there that like at 11 they had the split or like they were people went to the other side or whatever, and that was like a good time for commercial breaks and stuff. So I think they're trying to build it in a way to have these commercial spots in it. But like I said, it you don't feel like the best teams are always winning because
Yeah.
you're sitting there going, okay, well, I mean these people are creeping back in because they're just the scoring. It's more sort of the scoring or anything.
Yeah, I think volleyball. I don't follow volleyball at all. but they
Yeah.
went to this rally scoring
Rally
or
scoring.
whatever it's, yeah. And I don't know if I suspect it was a time thing.
Yeah.
They wanted the
No,
games more.
and it's just like I said, more. And this is a thing in life. I feel like you can make any. I always talked about this in university or in college that you can make any class really hard. I remember taking a calculus class. Calculus, hard for some people. I didn't think that calculus was going to be all that hard, but I had a teacher, and everyone told me like this guy makes it very hard. I get to my first test. I'm all excited. I feel like I know everything or whatever. There was only one question on the test. It was write an essay on what a logarithmic function was. And I was sitting there like, what the fuck is this? Like, write an essay. This is where I'm in math. And that was it. And like, I was like, okay, I could see how this class is a lot harder than than what I was expecting it to be, which was me filling out all these derivatives or whatever it might be, or actually doing a logarithmic function. And I feel like MLP kind of did the same thing with scoring, where they said, you know what, you thought it was going to be easy to win, but we're going to make it really hard for you to win, and we're going to make it so these other teams can kind of creep back into it.
Oh, I like the
Anyway,
way
I feel like
that was good. You were getting out there. I said, how's he going to tie this in? I said, he's
yep,
out there in the weeds. And then you came back and boom. Yeah, I
that's what
see
I
it.
do, man. That's what I
I,
do.
I see
Uh,
it.
I appreciate it. Well, I would say that. And the other thing is that really stood out in this one was how important singles was because of that, like the close games and things like that, we had a lot of dream breakers. And when it came to dream breakers, there were certain teams that were really designed for singles competition.
Yeah.
And there was other teams that got their asses straight up handed to them because they just didn't have the fire when it came to the singles part.
Yeah, and I think that was a consensus on things I read. Is singles was very important. And if you didn't have strong singles players, you got exposed.
Yeah, well, I want to bring this up because I talked to our girl Karen recently, who had a really good hot take, and she said while there are going to be a lot of close games, and she predicted it right. There are a lot of close games in MLP this season, and so far that has really turned out the case. This might not be the case next year, especially when we move into a place where there's free agency. Because if there's just free agency and these teams can pay for whatever they want, there might be all the best players on just a handful of teams. And since we're going to have 24 teams, there might just be like the top 10 players on 2 or 3 different teams. And after that, it might be basically like the PPA where we expect Ben Johns and
Yeah.
Annalie Waters just to win every time. It might turn into that where there's just like 2 or 3 good teams and we know they're going to win every single time and to hell with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. I could see it going that way. I think it's going to depend on the money and if they get TV. Another good thing about having a old man like myself, was there with the Kurt Flood free agency in Major League Baseball when when they unionized or however it happened with that, and I could see that certainly happen if the money's there. In other
Yeah.
words, if they don't get some TV and some revenue stream advertisement, which is mostly going to come, the big stuff's going to come through TV. I don't know that these owners are going to, pony up all that money for these guys. But if it does look like it's going that way, believe me, those players are going to unionize and then they're going to free agency and they're going to fight, so that they get some astronomical contracts. And then they may put in some just like they do salary caps and small market caps and all that stuff. But yeah, all we need is Ben Johns and our Anna Lee. But I did see because you gave me a handout ahead of time to let me at least peruse. I did see you eliminated one of your. Um,
Oh, got it. Oh, my bad. Well, I would say that when you were playing in a team dynamic, when you, I guess, only have your single, if you're playing PPA and you're playing singles or you have just one other partner, you're letting down your partner, right? When you're playing in an MLP in a team environment, I do think that it is different. And because of that, it is more emotionally and physically draining because you are no longer just worried about yourself and like letting yourself down or letting, like your random ass teammate down or I guess your one partner down, but instead you are letting down an entire team, an entire group of people who are all yelling at you the entire time to hype you up. So, Doc, go ahead and rip me apart for this.
I was gonna say there's a thing. I would say millennial.
Okay.
That would be a good millennial take on this. That this is very hard. Uh, Snowflake would be
Yeah.
another term that comes to mind. Come on, man, it's pickleball. It's
Yeah, I
pickleball.
hear you. But
I,
compared to the normal PPA aspect of things, I would say MLP is definitely a heightened aspect of this. And I'm not saying that it accuses, like stops anybody from or like should give them any excuses to not perform or whatever. I'm just saying that I think from a physical and emotional standpoint, it is more draining than a typical PPA tournament.
Yeah, I do think you'll find mentally, just like Tiger Woods and all these superstars were mentally tough people. They
Yeah.
had a mental game above everybody else, and I think you'll find, that probably will be the same here. But I would,
All
I
right.
don't,
All right. I got
I,
to tone down my language a little bit.
yeah, just draining. When you put draining, I'm going, come on, man. You got guys working in the steel mill 18 hours a day,
Yeah.
and it's
This is
140
yeah,
degrees in the come on.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Well,
I,
let's talk
sorry,
about
but
the results. No, you're good. I like it. The MLP results. So Group A, we had the Orange or the Orlando Squeeze. I always call them the Oranges, and the Bay Area Breakers make it out of group play. For Group B, DC Pickleball team, the Chicago Slice made it out. That was the group of death. So Annalie Waters' team did not do well. We'll talk about her and the winners and
yeah.
losers a bit later. And then Group C, the AZ Drive and Miami Pickleball Club. Doc, you had your notes from last week. You made your predictions. How did you do?
I didn't do very well, but thanks for bringing
What
that
happened?
up. I guess I busted you up about emotionally, physically draining pickleball, which you
Yes,
guys.
I gotta bring it up. I gotta
I,
push it back to
I
you.
didn't even get to say you guys play like 6 hours a day, and you're 30 years old. I just don't see it as it's on a small court. Okay. Anyway, I'll let it go. Uh, I did not do very well, but that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
we're still
This,
learning.
yeah, this gets filed into the memory bank, and it looks like what we thought was chemistry
Yeah,
over there with Simone and Lucien.
age one out, baby. Age one out. Simone
Yeah,
in Paris. Well, Simone looked old as shit, and I
yeah,
think that caused a lot of problems there.
yeah. And, probably, I don't know how she did in singles, but I suspect she might have struggled.
They never
And
made it to singles because they got their asses beat all the time.
so they were already beat in the. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, because they don't go to a game five if you can't make it to a game four. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so much for the chemistry. I guess
Yeah.
just because you were number one in the minor league, that doesn't mean. And I think we undervalued Anna Bright. So anyway, it's a work in progress. But on the football side,
You did well.
I did okay in football. So
We got
yeah,
that going for us.
yeah. So
Um,
so
So in the quarterfinals, the DC and the Orlando Squeeze got buys, and then Arizona placed or went against the Bay Area Breakers, and Miami went against Chicago. Both of those games went to Dream Breakers, so they went to 5. I will say that the one thing I want to talk about here is when Miami, that is Tyson McMuffin and Federico, went against Ben Johns and Eric Lang. It was very noticeable what the play was in Tyson McMuffin's head because that man did not hit a single shot to Ben Johns. Like I could see that Fed went at Ben Johns a bit and tried to push some towards him or whatever and wanted some of that smoke of Ben Johns, but Tyson McMuffin was like, no, Eric Lang is not as good. I'm going to single out that man and I will not hit a single ball to Ben Johns. And this is a strategy, while I think it is probably a good one in pros, and when you're playing for money and you're playing for things like that, it is something that pisses me the hell off in real life when we're just playing for rec.
yeah, I think it's garbage and in recreational play, and it happens. When I play here, I'm one of the better players. When I come out there, I'm one of the worst players. But especially when you play co-ed, no one likes it. Nobody's hitting it to you, and they're picking on. And we've talked about this. I do believe, you may not agree, I do believe some of it is just unintentional. In other words, you're wired to win the point. And
Yep.
unless you actively concentrate and say, okay, I can't hit it to her, or I can't hit it to Doc, because I've been picking on them. And so you're going to hit it to that because your brain goes, okay, win the point. And you just
Yeah.
hit it to that because we play with certain people
Yep.
that do that. And I think some are actively doing it, consciously doing it. And I think some are just kind of in the moment and just kind of keep hitting it
React.
there. Yeah, reacting. And they don't
Yeah.
mean
I
it.
would say in rec play, if you are the better player, you should try and target the other better player, and that will
Yeah.
just make you a better overall player. It'll also make the game more fun for everybody.
Yes.
Because if you're just going to only hit it to one person and they have no backhand and you only hit it to their backhand, that's not helping anybody. And on top of it, we're not playing in a tournament. We're not there is no stakes here. So maybe don't do that. There is no stakes here. So maybe don't do that.
And well, the whole game goes downhill because then that player doesn't get to play, then poaches more, encroaches on the other player just so they can get involved or win the point because they're picking and that your partner may be losing all the, and then it just goes downhill. It's you're just it's not a fun game.
One of my favorite players to play with in the world is a man by the name of Bud. He is in the 80s, and he has had a lot of ankle and knee surgeries in his day. And one of the things that drives me crazy is he is not able to get to the net as fast as the rest of us. And so if you hit a soft grounder at the net in front of Bud, he isn't going to be able to run up to the net and get that one. And so you could easily win every single point all the time with that strategy. But if you do it, you're kind of being a dick because you know what I mean? What fun is that to anybody?
Yeah.
And so Bud, love playing with you, and I wish we had, there was more games where we didn't have to worry so much about that. But it happens sometimes. And to your point, it might just be like, hey, this is working and we're winning, so I'm not even thinking about anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're actively doing that too, but I think it's terrible. Now, you being young and having a 42-foot wingspan, then you finally figured it out, and it was kind of
I'm
neat.
just running up every time.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And he didn't care. He said, "I'll
Yeah.
get to the net when I get there," and it would be a
Yep.
little while later, and you got everything before that, and
Yeah,
it
you just
worked
got to
out.
adjust. You got to
But
adjust. But anyway, that's my
yeah,
rant. That's my rant right now.
yeah,
And Tyson
no.
Huffman did it in pros, and I would do it in tournament. You know what I mean? If
Oh,
you're in
I
a
would.
tournament, you do
Oh,
it.
yeah. In that thing, I would. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And he did. And he
Yeah,
did. And like I said, every single shot. And Fed kept God bless him. Fed just wasn't even thinking about it. It just went after Ben Johns. And I was like, he's right there. Go for Eric. You guys will win this.
yeah,
And turns out Ben Johns ended up winning that one. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. In the semifinals, the Squeeze beat Arizona in a dream breaker, and DC beat the crap out of Miami. And then finally in the finals, the Squeeze 1-5. This is one of my favorite things because we all know how much I love to watch Riley Newman lose something. They were up 2-0 with match point on their paddle. They just had to win 3 games, right? They had match point on their paddle in both sets of mixed doubles matches, and they just couldn't pull it together. And then they went to a dream breaker and they got their shit kicked in. And I just love to see it. I
yeah.
love watching Riley come in second place. It is my favorite thing. But we'll get into winners and losers in a second. But I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. Yeah, I never thought of we rag on Riley Newman, but I never thought of him as a choke artist. We did bring that time he is up. He and AJ Kohler were up 2-0 in that one finals match, and then
that was in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
or no, it wasn't Cincinnati. It was anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
yeah, but they're up 2-0, and then they choked it away, and but that was mostly I thought on AJ Kohler. But now I'm starting to wonder if this guy can't seal the deal. If it's something with him that which we would be even more delightful that he's a choke artist.
I'm definitely going to create a graphic of the last time that Riley Newman won a gold, and it was a long time ago, which makes me, like
Yeah.
you said, it warms my heart so much so that like I literally went to the pickleball court the morning after this, so it must have been Monday morning or whatever, and I just brought this up to Karen, and three other people from just other parts of the court came over to us. So you're like, "Oh, you guys talking about Riley? I was so happy to watch that man lose." And like it's
Yeah.
just like all four of us or all five of us were just hanging out talking about how we love to watch Riley lose. It brings the world together.
It almost was like my Anna Bright, or not Anna Bright, Hurricane.
And,
What?
oh,
No,
Hurricane.
Hurricane. When I got on her before she took off, and we got
Yep.
on Riley Newman as he was,
On the decline.
yeah, we didn't know how it was going to go, right? He
Yeah,
got
we did
a
not. Well,
he,
we really dug into that.
yeah, we got on it, and we didn't jump off that train, and that train is going downhill. Get out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right. So that brings us to our MLP Atlanta winners and losers. I have to start off with a loser slash the Megan Dizon Award for the biggest hangover, and it goes not to one but to two people. The first one is Hayden Patriquin, who turned 18. He went to the strip club, got super drunk, and was unable to play in the rest of the tournament because he was just too drunk. And so I got to give him it. But even better, the Megan Dizon Award for the biggest hangover actually also goes to Megan Dizon, who dropped out of play for she was sick as well. But we know what that means.
Yeah, we said that weren't sure, but we saw her in Mesa, and
Yep.
yeah, it could have been influenza, could have been COVID, it could have been something else.
We think
And
it was something else.
yeah, we think it was something else, and the fact that it's recurred, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, when she gets in with a group of people, she just wants to hang out and have a good time. And I think she pays for it the next days.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, well, anyway, so that's my first loser. I would say my next winner is all players who thrive off of MLP energy. And the first one is Julian Arnold, who actually had the most wins of the weekend. So I think went like 11-3 or something. The dude thrives. Like we are not the biggest fans of Julian Arnold. We don't
no,
like his chirping. I hate that he goes adiamo all the time or whatever. But I got to give it to him. In this environment, the dude wins, and he wins big. And I don't know. I gotta give him some props on that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't rest.
No, I don't care for him either. But what can you do? And I did see a little bit when he played, and he was all into it, doing his adiamo or whatever the hell he does. But then somebody passed him on a really good shot and got him, and he gave.
He always I
Oh,
remember the exact play.
yeah, and he did it. He got beat. It was a real nut buster, and he gave the guy props for it. So
Yeah, good sportsmanship.
yeah, yeah, we're all
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
Absolutely. Another one was this weekend at the very least was Zane. So Zane last season was on the worst team, and he looked like he was the worst player. But he is on the Orlando Squeeze, and he got into it, especially towards the end. The man got fired up, and you could see that like really kind of propelled him for the remainder of it. So I gotta again throw some props to Zane, who we did shit on last week and thought
No,
he would not be good. It
no,
was me.
no. I'm gonna give you props. You said I don't know if I can trust him. It was like
Yeah.
you thought he had it, but
Yeah.
you didn't know. You go, I don't know if I can trust that guy. I just don't
But
know. It's like you thought he had
improved.
the skill, and then he did. So yeah.
He looked good. And then Anna Bright, who's like we mentioned, the Miss MVP. She is. I mean, if you just see that girl live, she could make a cup of coffee nervous. The girl is just on one all the time. And just like she's one of those players that I don't think I would want to play with. She's constantly going you,
Oh
and
yeah.
makes it seem like every point is or like every ball is like just the end of the world. But again, those type of people can kind of thrive into this. So give it to Anna Bright. On a loser side, I want to talk about players who do not thrive in MLP. And the first one is Colin Johns. Colin Johns, when he's away from his brother, maybe we shouldn't even say MLP. Maybe it's just when he's not with his brother, things do not look good for Colin Johns. He had a horrible weekend and continues to be a really bad mixed doubles partner. And he was partnered up with JW, and they could not get some wins, which sucks because JW is like one of the best. You know what I mean? You would think that partnership would be great.
Yeah. Can he play singles, Colin? Is he any?
He used to be a singles player, but he was one of those teams that like barely got to any of the Dream Breakers because they just got their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
Another one is Annalie Waters. She went 3-4 for the weekend. Looked a bit out of sorts. I know Tarashenko didn't have the best weekend either, so that might be part of it. But Annalie just didn't look good, and she finally got in a match against Ben Johns, and this was like something I was very excited to see, just to see who's carrying who or whatever. Yeah. And I got to say, like Ben Johns beat the living crap out of her, so it wasn't even like a competition. It was one of those ones where typically they'll be pretty close or whatever. This was not. This was one of those ones where it was just like a good old fashioned ass kicking.
This is in a co-ed match or a singles
mixed doubles,
dream?
Mixed doubles.
Dream. Oh,
yeah, they didn't make it, so it was mixed doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they did do a Dream Breaker, but Annalie and Ben Johns did not get partnered up. That would be interesting. I would like to see that one day.
Yeah,
but
I see them go at it for 4 points. Yeah.
Yeah. Other players who don't thrive in MLP, no shocker here. JW Johnson, he's not really an energy man. So you know what I mean? Like the idea that this MLP energy is going to like lift him up, it's not going to. And so that's not a real big shocker.
No.
And the other one is, maybe this was just this weekend because this guy is a little bit fiery, is James Ignatovich. He's kind of a head case. He's dating Anna Bright, so you would think that they're both head cases. And he had a terrible weekend as well. And I don't know if if it's the pressure or what happens there, but he kind of buckles.
He's dating Anna Bright.
Yeah.
And she's like nervous Nelly. And is Ignatovich, I can't stand just because
he's so nervous. Can't even drive. He's one of those people that's like too nervous to drive a car. So I don't know. Like,
he just bounces around. Good. I can't take it. He's just
yeah. It's a perfect pairing, or like my version of hell.
yeah. I don't know. A lot of Ativan or something. The Valium needs to be taken there. Yeah.
Another winner is, during an interview, Federico was explaining to the crowd what allowed him to be to propel him through the matches and things like that. And he was going through Pasión and I don't know, a few things. And one of the things he mentioned was huevos. And the commentator's like, I think huevos is eggs. And then Adam Stowe, God bless him, he just immediately goes, oh no, that's not eggs, it's balls. And I really like that it just said balls on television. That made me laugh really hard. So I got to give one to a winner.
All right.
More long shots are I gotta give you one here. So a long shot back in the day, because this is before she beat Annalie Waters and things like that. Hurricane, as well as she was a long shot for this. Like, she was a 3rd round pick. Right. Remember, she was in the Challenger League.
She's the only one undrafted in the whole. Yeah.
And came in or whatever and crushed it. Another one was Rachel Rohrabacher. She was another person who was not somebody in the Challenger League or anything like that. She was pursuing a master's degree and just kind of came out of nowhere, and she ended up winning this week. And the other one is Allison Harris, who literally just showed up hoping that someone would get sick. And sure enough, they did. She joined Miami and played really well. And so those are 3 people who are relatively long shots, unknown type of people. Talking you into last week, you mentioned that the Kawamotos were not your favorite. The Kawamotos went 5-0 in their matches. They are pretty solid. And the other aspect of this that I really like is they come from a state not known for its pickleball and its professional pickleball players. They come from Indiana. They live in Indianapolis, and they just practice just amongst themselves, basically. So, Doc, talk to me. What do you mean? Now that the Kawamotos are doing well and just excelling, are you going to start to like them?
Well, let's refute your initial premise that Indiana is not the pickleball central capital, hotbed mecca of talent. Where was your doubles partner from? Where did you pick him up from?
Indiana.
Thank you. Okay. So there you go.
Okay.
your doubles partner and the Kawamoto twins. And again,
fair enough.
I think,
shout out to Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. I saw him. He's very happy with the bronze. He said you deserve gold, but somebody got a little too tight. No, he didn't say that. But anyway, I think by association, the Kawamoto twins got demoted because of their captain. I don't know. Do they have a captain?
Yeah, Riley Newman. I guess because he's the
But
first
do they,
pick.
I didn't know if they call him the captain, but
Not really, but when they go to like interviews and stuff, they immediately go to that person.
yeah. And so they got knocked down just because of him. And so I
Okay, fair
think,
enough.
and like I said, we undervalued them, undervalued Anna Bright and Rohrabacher. Just because I can't pronounce her name, I'm not going to be rooting for.
Rohrabacher.
See, no,
Fair enough.
I can't
You're
do it.
out.
Yeah, I'm
All right,
out. I'm
fair
tapping
enough.
out. I'm hoping she's a
All right.
one-off. That's a one-off.
We talked about the Atlanta Bouncers, but I want to ask a loser to Ben Johns because is he really a good GM? Is the question here. He was able to scrap and he pulled his team up for the most part. But we got to say, Lacey Schneeman, although she had one good game that I watched, for the most part, she was actually the second worst player in all of the Premier League. And so by picking her, was this just like an off like week, or does Ben Johns, is he just not good at drafting a team? I guess like last year he drafted a pretty good team, but I don't know. I'm going to kick this to you, Doc. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. He's the GM. He drafted the team.
We don't know exactly, but the
Well,
idea
then
is
don't be saying that shit.
the first person who's drafted typically does get to
Really?
like that is how this. I know Anna Bright did for sure. Anna Bright picked every single
Well, she
person
picked
I
her
heard.
boyfriend. No. Oh no, she didn't pick
She did not.
Ignatovich. Okay.
Yeah,
That was Todd Paris or Paris
yeah,
Todd or
Paris Todd. Yeah, she picked her whole goddamn team. She
yeah,
picked her,
yeah,
her
yeah.
everybody.
Grandma, her boyfriend. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
got it all. Yeah, we got it.
I like that, Grandma. That was good.
Uh,
So anyway, I just want to throw that out there because Lacey Schneeman is definitely a loser, and Ben Johns, I don't know. Eric Lang was pretty good, but you got to say like we know Jesse Irvin is fine.
I'm just spitballing here. I'm just spitballing, and it's just coming off the test. So this is just coming. I think maybe Ben Johns doesn't give a shit. Something, but I wonder what his level of intensity and commit. Yeah, I think he just. I'm just guessing that it's just not as intense. He's got nothing to prove, right?
Yeah,
He's got 100 triple
the
crowns.
scoring system works against him.
Yeah,
there's a lot working against him.
yeah, and he's not with. Yeah, I just think maybe he's just not into it. I mean, nobody, class athlete doesn't want to lose, but he just isn't as fired up about this style of play. I'm guessing.
I like it. I like it. Well, I did give Ben Johns a winner of the week or a loser of the weekend, but I also gave him a winner of the weekend. I should also mention that they did win one of the Dream Breakers. So they're not like a complete like travesty up there, but Jesse Irvine just looks old.
Yeah,
But
you see how we go to bat for old Ben Johns, boy. As soon as you,
yeah, we do.
as soon as something, no,
We knock him down, we're bringing him right
No.
back up. And
Yeah.
I know like he's not an internet darling all the time, but to me, I don't care.
he's a
We
go.
like
He's
Ben
a go. Don't mess with him until he
Yeah,
does so.
he finished 9-2, and he did drag his team to the quarterfinals. So that is pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah, come on, 9-2.
Yeah, he's the second most, or no, the fourth most winningest. Because
Yeah, so he carried his weight. He just drafted, like you say, he drafted shit.
plus they beat the bricks off of DC, which was awesome to see. And speaking of which, there is one match that anybody watches, including you, Doc. It was the men's doubles where it was Riley Newman and Christian Alshon. And we'll talk about them. But the night before they were partying in the mini jacuzzi or whatever the hell that was, ice bath. It was those two versus Ben Johns and Eric Lang. And Eric Lang had the greatest game I have ever seen a person play. The man was unstoppable, so much so that Ben Johns was like, I'm not. He moved over. Ben Johns was like, oh, like for the most part, the whole week, Ben Johns was basically covering 98% of the court.
Yeah,
He was literally
right.
pushing Eric off.
We said
of
that.
The court.
We said he would do
But
that.
in this match, he was like, Eric can take the whole goddamn court because this man was unstoppable and just went at Riley Newman and Christian Alshon to the point that the two of them were just like, we don't even know what the fuck to do with this man because he just destroyed him. And so if anybody's going to watch something, please watch that one because it was a hell of a match.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which leads you to
our big loser.
You
go for it.
No, you go for it.
Well, Riley Newman is a loser for a number of things. First off, he got bested by Eric Lang, which, Eric Lang, he is a professional pickleball player and things like that. But to think that the number two best person, again, crumbled under pressure and not only
Yeah,
lost to Ben Johns, but basically lost to Ben Johns' partner, who was the last pick of the draft, is kind of embarrassing.
yeah,
Secondly, we have a picture, as I mentioned before, or a video of him and Christian Alshon sharing an ice bath that is like this big, and they're both just in there together, and that now exists on the internet forever. And so, Riley Newman, you are a loser for that. And then even before all of this, Doc, talk to us about what happened at the volunteer slash, I don't know, charity event that occurred right before MLP actually started.
yeah. As if you don't have enough crap on this guy to dislike him.
Yeah,
We said he's dislikable, wouldn't want to play with him. And we go, are we just biased? Are we making this up? And then I see that clip where he's playing
yeah,
against his old team owner
correct. At a charity event.
in a charity thing. And he is just tattooing this guy,
Yeah.
hitting rockets and body shots, gets him. He's just like, I mean, it was, I thought it
This is
was,
not a professional. This is an owner of a pickleball team. He is
yeah.
not a player of pickleball.
Yeah, I thought it was over the top, but it gets worse. So that was bad enough. So then
Yeah.
it gets worse, and they have an interview with him, the four players, and they ask Riley Newman, oh, you got pretty intense. Well, it was for fun, but when you get guys together, they're going to play hard. It was bullshit.
Yeah.
They were trying to call him out on,
Being an asshole.
being an asshole, and that's guys being guys. And then his old owner just hit him with the mic drop. He goes, well, if he played that passionate last year, we would have made it to the quarterfinals or whatever. And then,
Yeah, any of it. Yeah.
and it gets worse. So anyway, hits him. Riley Newman can't even stand there like a man and take it. He stomps off the interview.
Yeah, because he's just a piece of shit and a baby.
Yeah, baby. So he could say all this stuff. As soon as his old owner kind of got a little,
Throw some shade his way.
Yeah, and it wasn't. He got him a little dig,
It was
but
deserved. You know what I mean? Like he was the one who started it, and on top of it, nothing he said was wrong. It wasn't true. I mean, it wasn't fake. I mean, it was all true.
Yeah, and you just hit me with 10 body shots. Yeah, and he says that, and he storms off the interview. And it just he can't.
He threw his hands up. He's like, "Oh,
oh Jesus, yeah." It was, yeah. I mean, this guy just gives you every reason not to root for him.
Yeah, well, anyway, he's the loser. Not to mention he lost in the finals. He had match point on his paddle multiple times, and he lost it. Choke artist. We're just going to call him a choke artist. I like it. So anyway, Riley Newman, our loser, which brings us to our big winner, which is the Orlando Squeeze. Anna Bright played amazing. Rachel Rohrabacher played aggressive and was amazing. She took it at Riley Newman a few times, which was awesome to see. Zane was, again, just on a different level. He obviously took that MLP energy. And then Andre Diascu, and I say that name wrong, but anyway, he played really well too.
Well, you got two out of four players. You can't even say their name.
It's rough. Rohrabacher, I'd have down.
I do not have it down.
I'll work on
and
Andre.
So and for that reason alone, I can't. They may
you don't like the Squeeze. You're out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not permanently out, but I may have to do some linguistic studies.
Well, before I let you go, I want to ask you: do you know the difference between what a hooper is and what a player is? So if we're talking in the terms of basketball, a hooper versus a basketball player, what would your idea what comes to mind?
I could be wrong. Even though I am the played basketball for 500 years, and I used to play more basketball than you. It's hard to imagine before they invented this great sport of pickleball. But a hooper, I would think, is like a gym rat player. That's what I would think of, a gym rat player, a guy who plays in all the pickup games, always at the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club or wherever you play, and call him a hooper. And a player is usually a good basketball player.
There you go. Well, you nailed it.
Did
And
I
so
get
this
it
is a
right?
big, nailed it. And so this is a big like internet thing, at least in the NBA community or
Oh,
whatever, where they talk about certain players who are hoopers versus basketball players. And I wanted to bring this up because there are definitely some players who are hoopers, and I want to give them a shout out. So Anna Bright, Leah Jansen, James Ignatovich, and of course your girl Hurricane Tyra Black. They are the quote unquote versions of hoopers in the pickleball world, because you can tell that they're not only in every single game and things like that, but when they are not playing, they're in the stands, and you can see them watching, and you
yeah,
can see them like talking about shots and things like that. And I know just from being at these tournaments and stuff like that, last year's MLP tournament, that night I see Anna Bright just practicing. I see Hurricane also practicing. She wasn't even in the goddamn tournament. She was in the Challenger League, and she was there like on a Sunday night, like just playing. And so these people are hoopers. And I just wanted to give them a shout out and give them a winner for the weekend because, yeah, they are the pickleball version of the hooper.
yeah. They're the version of the people we see at the city playground with chain nets with one spotlight, and they're out there shooting at 10 o'clock at night, and they're
Just all day.
all day, and then they're 5 o'clock when people don't come till 6, and they're hoping someone picks them, and they'll play for 12 hours. Yeah,
So
that's a.
Doc, back in your heyday, were you a hooper or a basketball player?
Oh no, no, I was a player. No, 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 I couldn't be. No, no, the Hooper. No, that wouldn't do me justice. You
Fair
know.
enough.
Yeah, yeah. Again, as many of us who are vertically challenged, if they had the 3-point line back in the day,
Yeah.
there's no telling. No telling where.
This
Yeah,
would be a basketball podcast.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, medical school, that'd be on hold. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
absolutely.
would have been on hold.
Well, Doc, this has been another. Do you have anything else? I guess before we wrap this up.
No, no, it's well past my bedtime, so I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of the Pickleball Jones. If you've made it this far, please give us a subscribe, like us, leave a comment because we love comments. Go
Yes.
ahead and rate us. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 stars. And yeah, all the things. But we
Yeah.
appreciate you. And other than that, peace.
Peace.